Hare Krishna, Namaste.
Chapter 13 is entitled as Kshetrajna Yoga, also as Prakriti Purusha Vibhaga Yoga, also as Prakriti Purusha Viveka Yoga. ṛṣibhir bahudhā gītaṁ, chandobhir vividhaiḥ pṛthak, brahma-sūtra-padaiś caiva, hetumadbhir viniścitaiḥ. The topic about Atma, Deha, the body, and absolute truth, Brahman, the Paramatma, has been sung in brief and also elaborately by the great sages. In yesterday's session, ṛṣibhir bahudhā gītaṁ, we took some quotation from the Itihasas and Purana, from Vishnu Purana by Parasara Muni. We saw how these differences are very clearly stated through the story of Jada-bharat, and also we saw some reference from Mahabharata by Vedavyasa, where there too it clearly states the differences between Atma and Paramatma. Indriyani manobuddhihi sattvam tejo bhalam dhritihi vasudevatmakanyahu kshetram kshetrajna mevacha. Here it clearly says that Vasudeva, Sri Krishna, is Paramatma, and all the individual self, Atma, are part and parcel of that Vasudeva. As we have already seen, Kshetrajna, the knower of the field, is also refers to Paramatma. In Mundaka Upanishad, it clearly states that Dva suparna sayuja sakhaya samanam vriksham parisasvajate tvayor anyah pipalam swadvati asnam anyobi chakasiti. That is, on a tree branch there are two birds seated. One bird is eating the fruits from the tree, whereas the other bird is simply watching the bird eating the fruits. The one which is eating the fruit is becoming weaker and weaker, whereas the one who is watching is as it is, without any changes. So here, the bird which is eating the fruit is Jivatma, and the one which is watching is Paramatma. The one which is eating the fruit is going through its karma. Therefore, because of that, there are changes in its way it is. Whereas the Paramatma, being a witness, is just observing the activities of the Jivatma. Therefore, we can see Kshetrajna applies to Jivatma when the Jivatma is a knower of its body, whereas Kshetrajna applies to Paramatma, that is, Paramatma who is the knower of the Jivatma, who is part and parcel of him. Now, next let's move on to the second line of the sloka. Chandobhir vividhaiḥ pṛthak. The Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharvana also have very clearly brought the differences, the nature and dispositions of the body and the self in many ways. Here Chandas refers to the Vedas, not the meter like Gayatri, Brihati, Pankti, Jagati, Anushtupa. That is not what referred here as Chandas. It is the Vedas, the texts in the Vedas. Let's see few examples. Bhokta, Bhogyam, Peritaram cha matva, Sarvam Proktam Trividam, Brahma-metat. In Svetasra Upanishad, it clearly states that there are three realities: Bhokta, Bhogyam, and Prerita. The enjoyer, the object of enjoyment, and the inducer are mutually different and distinct. Here, Bhokta refers to the Jivatma, the individual self, who experiences the fruits of his karma. Bhogyam is nothing but the Prakriti, which is being experienced by others, in this case, the Jivatma. Prerita, the Supreme Lord, who activates everything. There is one important point to be noted, that the Supreme Lord is also Bhokta, as we saw in the 5th chapter, Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, where it says the supreme enjoyer is Sri Krishna. So here, Krishna is not mentioned here as Bhokta, rather it is the individual living entity. The enjoyment of the living entities are controlled by the Supreme Lord, whereas the enjoyment of the Supreme Lord is directed by himself. Therefore here, Bhokta refers to the individual self, not the Supreme Lord. And in Taittiriya Upanishad, it says that Tasmat va etasman manomayat anyontara atma vijnanamayaha. Here the Upanishad speaks about the insentient body and then the sentient living entity. Tasmat va etasmat atmana akashaha sambhutaha akashat vayuhu vayuragnihi agnirapaha adbhya prithvi prithivya aushadaha aushadbhyannam annat purusha savayesha purusho anna rasamayaha. Tasmat va etasman manomayat anyantara atma vijnanamayah. Tasmat va etasmat vijnanamayat anyantara atmanandamayah. There are 5 stages which are explained here: Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. Annamaya is the beginning stage where one considers food is life. As long as one has food to live, one is happy, because people think if there is no food, one has to starve and die. Therefore, food is the life for one's existence. Annamaya. Then one realizes that there is something beyond food which is keeping the body alive, and that is the prana. As one can see, there are people who eat less, or some don't even eat for many days but still able to survive. Therefore, food is not only the base for one's existence, there is something higher than that. It's a life force, as they say, which is pranamaya. And in the next higher stage, one thinks there is something else which keeps one's motive, one's energy going, as otherwise that keeps flickering Therefore, something beyond that prana is having control of one's mental platform. That's called manomaya. So, annamaya, pranamaya and manomaya, all these refers to the insentient entities. Therefore, one starts thinking that there should be a sentient being which is able to direct the below one. So at that point, he starts contemplating on the self, that is vijnanamaya. All the three below ones are insentient, whereas this vijnanamaya is about a sentient being. As one contemplates on the individual self and comes to a next stage where he realizes these individual selves also have certain limitation in what it can perform. This Atma realization leads one to understand there is a Supreme Lord, Paramatma, who controls many Atmas, and that is Anandamaya, the fifth stage. So, from this Upanishad statement, it is clearly understandable that the three realities, that is Chitta, Achita and Ishvara, has been mentioned. Achita is mentioned through Annamaya, Pranamaya and Manomaya, and Chitta through Vijnanamaya and Ishvara through Anandamaya. So, from the words of great rishis and from the Vedas, we can clearly understand the distinct differences between the three realities, that is matter, spirit and Supreme Lord. Let's remember why we are saying this, because Krishna says that these differences are brought clearly in the Vedas by the rishis in the Brahma-sūtra, which are the evidence, proof, pramanam for what Krishna is going to say in the following slokas. Because there are various schools of thought. One say that there is only one Atma, there is no second Atma, and whatever we are saying is all Maya, illusion, nothing is real. Whereas another school of thought says everything is Sunyam, meaning void. And some say God is there, but He is just there. He don't have the control of everything. Some says Jivatma is a controller of whatever it's doing. Whereas some others say that Prakriti is cause of everything. Whereas some say it is Paramatma, the Supreme Lord, who controls each and every activities of Jivatma and the Prakriti. Everything becomes like a puppet in his hands. Likewise, there are many differences of opinions. So how do we really understand what is correct? It is only through the words of the realized souls in the great rishis like Parasara, Vyasa, Valmiki and so forth. And it's only through the Vedas, and it is important that one learn and understand what Vedas says through studying Brahma-sūtra. Otherwise, even the statements in Vedas can mislead one. Therefore, in our next part, we will see how Brahma-sūtra supports the differences of Atma, Prakriti, Ishvara. With that, we will be concluding this sloka.
Namaste. Hare Krishna.